So announcements, according to my calendar, which is always weird because that's how it's spelled, calendar, that I've got next week and then the week after. So we end on the 15th. I think that is correct. Do we have 2 more meetings? And so next week becomes really important because anything that you want to show me has to fall on that day. From this evening all the way into a week from tonight, I am just pounded. My calendar is like completely almost gray because there's so much white on black. And just to let you know. And then the other thing is that I don't have to do grades probably until Saturday, the 18th. So, but I won't be able to critique things. So when I put that final thing in there, I'll definitely leave it open till Friday, the 18th. So whatever we deliver on the 15th, if I recommend some sort of adjustment, you can certainly tweak those and pop it into the shell on the 18th. So just everyone should know that. All right, and then
Thank you. You just made my day. The couple of extra days just make a difference.
It makes all the difference. It makes
all the difference. It's just, it makes all the difference.
Okay, so, and that's written in stone. I'm not going to go backwards. I'm not going to change that. That actually makes it easier on me because I have a bunch of stuff that's due on the 15th. I have stuff that's due next week, and it's all over the place, and they're killing me. All right, so the other thing is that when I was looking at my main dashboard, you might have all seen this, that the school has put me in for drawing and drawing. So one of these classes is registering for online, and then the other is on ground. And the same thing for the animation class, that one's on ground and one's online. And as soon as the dean sees which version is populating more, she's going to amalgamate them into either on ground or online. So just keep that in mind.
How do you know which one you're registered for? There was only one to register for when I registered.
I do not know. She told me that you all will know. Or then just talk to Paul or email Paul, or
I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. It doesn't matter. I'm taking the class. It's just if it's not online, then you and I will have to work something out.
Right. So
we'll take that road when we get there.
So I had to register tonight, this afternoon, for my spring semester at State. And just because of their idiosyncrasies and the way their classes fell, they have everything on Tuesday nights. And that kills this drawing class for me. The drawing class is still going to run, but it's going to either be Paul or David Gainey.
Oh,
I believe this Wednesday class for animation, it's still me on the books, but I'm sorry. It took me 2 weeks to do my schedule, and I just couldn't move things away from Tuesday. Sorry. All right, then the other thing is that, the other thing I wanted to start with, Philip, you submitted this to late and redo folder. And so this is, you don't have it titled correctly. Which story is this again? This is the fairy tale?
Yeah, the native.
The native?
Yeah.
All right, so this is the same, but it looks like you're trying to go at the drawings a little more. Yeah, I think that you're going to have to get yourself to move away from whatever you're doing, holding the shift key or whatever you described and doing it, because
okay.
And the other thing is that these panels here, I looked at this a little earlier, these panels look like they're the right ratio,
Okay.
but this one and maybe even this one are not, they're not correct. So just remember, what you always want to do is find 16:9 and see it came right up there, right? So you just
Yeah.
write storyboard panel and then just do an image search and you can calculate it. So you remember that not all of these are going to be exactly 16:9 because just because you searched for 16:9, this one's wrong. This one right here is wrong. The other ones look okay, but this one it's better for drawing because there's lots of camera notations underneath it. But it's not good for drawing because the panels are stuffed right next to each other. So that really limits you for being able to draw through the panel and figure out whether you want a camera move or a pan or something like that, or a diagonal dolly. So keep that in mind. And so, train yourself to look at that. So when I looked at this, I saw that you're definitely trying to get that perspective grid in there, and you've copy and pasted it into these panels, which I think is a good start, definitely. But I think that you just need to figure out a way to get the drawings into the panels, because holding the shift key, it's giving you a very geometric aesthetic. And I think that you want a little bit more free form. And also the idea of continuous action. So here you say that the dad is comforting a baby, the camera's aimed at them, the dialogue is the woman is keeping the baby safe, the inner hi baby, the inner voice says hi baby. But this doesn't read like that. One of the things that I just want to impress upon you is going back to my storyboard and looking at those drawings for acting. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for these poses of expression. There's so much good stuff in there, and this is a good pose. There's not an expression in there yet. This is Bill Pete. This is Bill Pete drawing for Alice, right? This is Bill Pete drawing for Alice. This is Chris Sanders just drawing for Lilo. And this is the Pablo team drawing for Klaus. So just keep that in mind. What you're looking for is an acting performance, and I don't see any of that in here. So remember, you're going to have to break away from that at some point or another. Okay. All right. So now we'll go back to this. Let me refresh this. All right, and we've got some things to look at here.
So no holding the shift key.
It's ruining your aesthetic, Philip. It's great if you want to draw perfect circles or constrain proportions on things. It's great for that. Holding the shift key has its purpose, but not for storyboards. If you're gonna use the shift key when you're doing storyboards, it's fine if you're setting up the perspective for any particular shot. You set up your grid, but what you have is just the depth. You don't have any of the grid that has the horizontal on the ground plane or up in the sky. And you could use the shift key to do that too, but you don't want to copy and paste the same grid in every single story panel, that means your camera doesn't move. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to be literate. You have to be lyrical about where your camera is and how it's moving and how you're telling that story. So the shift key can be your friend, but don't use it like a crutch. All right, so this is Carmen. I'm sorry, I allowed everybody into class and I didn't see. Carmen, are you here? Hold on a second. All right, well, in the chance that you'll see the video. All right, so I see the script here, characters, script. Rich people and criminals, there you go. All right, I'm speed reading. Okay, and I appreciate the little underlines. It makes it easier to see the action. Okay, and this is fine. 3 different scenes. All right, and we've seen these characters from last week. That's looking okay. And this is good. This is exactly kind of what I wanted you to be thinking of in terms of your storyboard, in terms of your thumbnail panels. Just draw it without the borders. So yeah, I think that you've got the right idea here. Numbering them is great. You know, you could start drawing out of order too if you really need to. Okay, you've got the right idea here for sure. Continuous action, shooting, grabbing the jewel, running, you got action. And the bear eating it. Okay, this makes good visual sense. And now that the bear has eaten the jewel, everyone should be going after the bear, right? Okay, yeah, this looks good. Okay, yeah, you're exactly where you would like to be. I'm not sure if this ends it at panel 60, but yeah, take a look at the recording here and know that you're in a good place. Now do your first pass at boards. Now get your boards in there, background, midground, foreground elements, perspective in every shot, and go for it. Looks good. Yep, that looks good. Thank you, Carmen. Laura. Hardworking and responsible? Laura, what are you thinking?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm teasing you.
Let me take a note. Is this misspelling?
What
Or is grammar error or what?
is grandma what?
Is grammar error?
No.
Ah, okay. Oh, I think that was error. I'm sorry.
No. I was just making a joke about
Ah,
the Felipe character being hardworking and responsible. How notorious of a criminal. Okay, so this looks good. Okay, and your maps are okay. Remember that these are tools for you to make sure that your camera is working, right?
yeah.
All right. All right, so just a suggestion, when you're doing thumbnails, do not interrupt the composition to put your dialogue in there. This is a 16:9 ratio that you've got right here. But I would recommend just making those notations underneath.
Okay.
Unless you're doing something very stylized, like looking at Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, where the words are actually part of the aesthetic
Okay.
of the film.
The same thing.
And this one's different. Like in this panel here, the words are actually extra on underneath the correct ratio, but I
Oh, I
wouldn't
got it.
recommend that. I would,
Okay.
because it could be confused that you want to do something like a comic book thing.
Okay.
And I don't recommend that. But,
Okay.
well, I usually don't recommend that. Like I said at the opening of the class here weeks ago, is that if you were thinking about using it as cards or interstitial dialogue or something like that, it can be done. But at this point, let's just make the standard that the dialogue is outside the screen. All right, so your thumbnails are okay. You know, at one point you want to try to at least get the medial lines in there.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by medial lines is that
Okay.
you're just drawing three-dimensionally. So in a setup like this, where's the line that goes down the middle? Where's the line that goes down the horizontal middle? So that you know that you can go back and put eyes on this character if you want. And even, you know,
Okay.
even if you're drawing thumbnails, you can still put that little cross. The idea is that you're drawing a grape, and then this line describes the horizontal, and this line describes the vertical middle, so that the nose goes here, and that the eyes are lined up right on the midline. And this sets up a typical 3/4 view. And then you can put your mouth and your chin and your ears. So this is a very typical thing. So if you're drawing a head, a line of action for the character, hey, then, you know, you can set up the body and the legs, they're standing, get the horizontal middles like that, just to let everyone know that all you have to do is go back in and put the eyes in there.
Okay. Let me take
All right, so the
screenshot.
sequencing looks okay. I think that if these two characters are in dialogue with each other, you might want
Yeah.
your, because it looks like their camera is zooming in on them,
Mm-hmm.
which I
Yeah.
think is fine.
Okay.
But I think that what you've got to think about is the performance. Your Felipe character is drunk and grandma is pissed, right?
Mm-hmm.
But grandma, she looks a little agitated right here. She was sitting down.
No, she's not the grandma. She is his wife.
Okay.
The grandma appear on the another one.
All right, so this is you saying that there's a passage of time
Yeah.
from night to day, okay. All right, so I think you need maybe some extra drawings of Felipe scampering off the bed,
Okay.
or at least throwing up in the bathroom, right?
Okay.
All right, so what is this? Is this grandma thinking?
Yes.
All right, so one way to handle that graphically and aesthetically is that you can have like a little frame up here,
Okay.
right? So you can have these little thought bubbles appear and they animate, and then this little frame appears, and then what happens is that the camera zooms in.
Oh, okay.
The camera trucks in to show that now you've got your horse and your character. There are a couple of different ways, but this is the typical way to describe that action.
Okay.
All right, so she's telling a story, right? You know, another way to do this is a cross dissolve, where as she's talking, you just do a cross dissolve between one shot and the other. And you could just write cross dissolve. It's not a cut, it's a cross dissolve. And so is this character here still in this scenario here?
So after the horse, yeah. So it's the same as the story that the grandma is telling to the Felipe and
Okay.
his wife.
And then at this point, it goes back to the real world.
But yeah.
And why is Felipe laughing right here?
Because he doesn't believe the story.
Oh, what is it about the story that he doesn't believe?
That they are a headless horseman carrying out, or
Okay.
yeah, the drunk people.
Okay, you didn't show that.
Yeah.
You didn't, so you have the,
Well,
you have a three people riding the horse here.
yeah,
You
the
have a
two persons that was drunk on another thumbnails.
But I don't see the headless horseman. You didn't,
It's in the front
it's in the
with
what?
with the big hat in front of the horse.
In this panel right here?
No, and the panel that you are talking about.
This
Yeah,
one?
there. Uh-huh.
Your camera's too far away. We can't see that. This looks just
Okay.
like three characters on a horse. So I think that you're going to need some more drawings in here to describe that action, and you're going to have to be careful about relating that the story of the headless horseman
Okay.
visually, because if he's laughing here, he should be hung over,
Okay.
right? And so if you want this to be accurate to your script, I think you're going to need to describe this much cleaner and much more visually.
Okay.
So that grandma's like, what the hell are you doing, Philippe? And he's like, oh, what a stupid story. And then I think that you got to end it so that
Okay. More.
yes,
clear.
it's concluded that he's being taken off by the same rider that grandma spoke of. And then you're going to need that expression where he's like, oh my God, she wasn't telling a story. This was true.
But
Right.
that happened at the final. So at the first, just the grandmother told the story to Felipe,
Yes.
and is when Felipe is laughing because he doesn't believe in that.
Right.
And after that, Felipe conclude. I'm sorry. Felipe conclude that it's just because grandma wants that he leave his friends and the alcohol. So, but the next week he continued in the same way with
Right.
his friends.
Right. And I think that what you need to do is you need to do a title card here for next weekend. I think that you can't
Okay.
just, it can't, a cross solve is going to be one thing.
Mhm.
But I think that you need to tell, it's like later that day, right? The next day. So you want this to be an actual story panel that says
Okay.
the next weekend.
Okay.
The technical term for that, it's called an expository interstitial. Hey,
Expository.
this is not behaving wise. Oh, it's because I'm drawing? No, wait. Hey. Something funky is happening here. Hold on a second.
Okay.
Escape, grab. Oh, there we go. So it's called an expository interstitial. And it didn't pick it up right. Let me just go to an image here. So it's not picking it up correctly. Let me put film in here.
Okay.
And so this is an expository interstitial,
Oh.
right? There's words on the screen. And it was heavily used in the silent film era. right? So these are called expository interstitials.
Okay.
Oops, no, I'm in the wrong place. All right, so yeah, get extra panels in there and when worry about your acting.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
And Alex, I see that you made it. Okay.
Can you read it?
No, what I'm doing is trying to figure out if I can remember what it looked like before you made any adjustments to it.
The only thing I changed is, yeah, is that I removed something because it wasn't. So this is what I submitted last week.
Last week, okay.
And
All right, and then this is new.
This is all new. This is my thumbnails.
Okay. Okay. I'm looking at sequencing. So this is the head of the bone, right? This is the
Yeah.
animated bone. Okay. All right, and so then in this panel 15, well, you say crash zoom, and that would be fine. But I think that what you want to do is you want to have the coyote react and run away first. Or because I think you're trying to do two main actions at the same time. You're trying to show that the bone has his excited expression and the coyote has his reaction at the same time.
Oh,
So
what I'm trying to say is the coyote sniffs the skull, and then they both go ah.
oh, okay. So
how do I make
so
that
use your
work?
cinematic third. So just put the bone on the left third and the coyote on the right third, and don't cheat him out of the frame just yet. And then that way you'll have enough room for him to run. And I think there was I thought I'd pinned something to the board to that effect. Well, I kind of like this example here, just going backwards to day one, because it explains in detail the idea of extremely long shot, right? EXL, a very long shot, medium long shot, and they all have their meanings. Maybe I didn't click on it. Maybe I didn't save it. But yeah, I think that you can afford to not have the crash zoom. I think you could just, you've got them in panel 14 and you can just do a slight truck to get them on the thirds, and then he screams and then the coyote runs away. All right, and then the bone goes back in the jar.
Yep.
Okay.
We're back to the beginning.
So not that you have to think about it in terms of pure special effects or anything, but it might make sense to have a little bit of air come up, right?
Yeah, that would be nice.
Because it's like poop. You think about it like the sound, poop.
Yeah.
All right, and then
so now foot comes up instead of the hand. I don't know whether that was clear from the thumbnail.
so how do you have an arrow on this little lid?
No, the arrow goes with the foot. I can fix that. The arrow goes on the foot that comes out.
That's a foot coming out? That's like the bones of a foot?
No, that's the lid. And then out of the jar, I'm trying to have the foot, and then in 18, the leg is out.
So the coyote comes back and just bites his foot.
And takes the bone.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So now he takes the leg bone.
All right, then he crashes his little And he realizes his leg bone is gone. So now he's gonna chase after the coyote on his hands. What's this red line?
He's carrying his leg,
Oh,
rest of his leg, because the coyote took the thigh bone, and so he's carrying the leg bone and the foot.
okay. So technically the coyote bit and grabbed the tibia, right?
No, it grabbed the femur.
Oh, got the femur. So so if you want that to happen,
I need to bring the leg. Yes, it's not
yeah,
biting.
bring the leg
biting,
out
biting.
more.
Okay.
And I think that you can afford to be in a closer, you know what?
I
hate
can
this
just
word.
add. I can just add a close up where
Yeah,
for 19A, where we see what anatomical parts. the
so
dog
this is
coyote
all
has.
established. You have the idea of the foot coming up. And then if you, I think that the camera might be a little close right here. So let me back out of this. So the idea would be is that you've got the femur and then the tibia and the fibula and the talus and the foot bones, right?
Right.
And then the top of the little,
Oh, if I bend, I can bend the leg and then the foot falls down before.
yeah, so that now your coyote
Yeah.
is going to come in here and he's going to grab the femur.
Yeah.
So you need to just describe that he is grabbing and taking the femur out of there.
Okay.
All right, so let's continue. All right, so then he's got his lower leg bone and maybe the feet bones are still attached over here,
Yeah. That's what.
but he's walking on his hands. Okay, so just a thing to think about is that this is a really fun thing to animate, right? You got the
Yes,
idea of
yes,
a character not
yes.
only having his lower leg bones and the feet bones connected to it in
Right.
his mouth while he's trying to run on his hands. But it might be fun. You could make a note for yourself that if you ever animated this, that this wasn't fast enough. And so he tries to run with both of his arms and his other leg. It could be like this really strange animation. It might be really wonderful.
Ooh, I probably can't draw it, but I can definitely add a note about that. That's
Yeah.
very funny. Yeah.
All right, so what is this?
He's
So he
throwing, so now he's throwing the leg bone at one of the jars, and the jar falls down and knocks out the coyote.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I think in the storyboard where it's a little bigger, and I will.
Right. Okay.
I will draw better. I will try and draw better. It will be a little more. I may need to add a panel, another panel there. Oh, I can add a pan. No, I can add a panel where we see the leg fly. From in a close-up, we actually see it fly and tumble and do silly things.
Sure. So I just want to, I want you to answer a performance question here. And that is that we don't know, the audience doesn't know anything about the inner voices here. We don't know about anything about the coyote's intention, except that he was just going to eat the bone. Right?
No, we don't know that either. All we know is that he took the bone.
That he's just going to take it.
Yeah,
So
he
in
just
panel
took it.
37 here, your skeleton guy is scolding the coyote, and he's still scolding him in 38, and the coyote's crying.
He feels
right?
guilty. Yeah, he feels guilty about taking this guy's leg bone. I mean, that's a direct connection. He took the bone. That was a bad thing.
No, I know that. I'm thinking about before he sticks it back on his body, that as long as a coyote's there, it might make more sense for
swap him around, having waved at the coyote,
or smack him in the head with it.
So we take 37 and 38 and swap them out with 35 and 36.
So And then the coyote would really have something to cry about.
Yes.
Because at this point, you have to assume that the audience is going to understand that the skeleton and the coyote are speaking the same language.
Oh, well, this is magical.
But it might make more sense if the skeleton guy just smacks the coyote on the
Yeah.
top of the head with, "Hey, stop that. Bad kitten, bad kitten." And then
No, that's
instead of crying, the coyote's like, "Yipe, yipe, yipe." But then we have to deal with panel 39.
Yes.
I think that you need some acting moments
Yes.
between 38 and 39 that says, yeah, you did a bad thing, but the inner voice is, I still love you. Come here and give your papa a big hug.
Yes, I copped out on this because I didn't know how I wanted to tell it, and I ran out of time to think. My brain ran out of time.
Your brain ran out of time. So yeah, just consider
Yeah, this
some
needs 2 more
acting
panels.
moments between either yelling, and you could use the expository interstitials there too if you really want.
No,
But
not in this story.
but you're going to need some acting moments from your skeleton and then from the coyote, because
Yeah.
he's got to transition from pain or shame and pain to realizing that it was just a goofy thing for him to do, and he's really not in that much trouble.
So would it be totally inappropriate? So far, we don't have any spoken dialogue. Would it be breaking the flow if I did add some kind of dialogue there?
No, I don't think you need it. I think that what you want to do is expound on these little red lines right here.
Okay.
I think that, again, not to say that everything has to be a special effect, but these red lines
I can use
can be like
FX. I can use
lightning
FX.
bolts, right?
I can use light. I can also use lighting to make that work better.
It can be sharp lines like this. Hey, and then coming up from the
Yeah.
top of it, you can have these like exclamation points. Just to get the point across. But remember
Yeah.
that when the skeleton guy is going to do that, he needs to be angry. So show a 3/4 and get the eyebrows down.
So you think he needs to have eyebrows?
I know, but you just put him in there.
No. I'm gonna. I was thinking about it, and I thought, well, but he's a skull. But I think you're right. The eyebrows would actually really make it much easier to show his feelings.
And just fake it. Remember that you're just
Magic.
drawing these lines that are on the top of the occipital lobe, but you're actually using them to show that he's angry.
Yeah,
And, I think
in
you've
the
got
animation, we can actually just animate the bone.
right.
That would be really silly.
Right. You saw Coco, right?
Yeah.
But all of those skulls animated. So that was the beauty of it. So use like a facial expression like that more than this, because his eyes are open here. He's got to be angry.
Okay. I will give this a shot. Is it, in general, is it okay to put like details of characters next to your thumbnails or your
Yes,
storyboards?
sure, absolutely.
Okay, so if I can't draw it as a thumbnail, I can make like a bigger, more
Yeah,
detailed.
you could do like a little study right next to it. Yeah.
Okay.
And the other way to handle this would be is that you make these like sound lines really graphic, but there's water coming out of his mouth. I don't know how that
But
happens.
that's not in characters though.
But it could be really cool, right? Also, you could use little stars.
We have dust. One thing that's not in the thumbnails is that there's going to be all sorts of little effects with the
Right.
dust in the
So-
tomb.
So consider
Yeah.
stars and,
Stars will work.
exclamation points and spirals
Yeah,
and bombs,
and bombs are always cool. I love
right?
bombs. As a kids, they were my favorite.
So, and then
Alright.
I think you owe it to your audience to do a extreme close up on the coyote. So show us how the coyote's thinking about all this. And then that's the catalyst that causes your skeleton to go, oh, you know, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to yell at you that badly. Come here and give your papa a hug. And then they can walk off into the distance.
Okay,
Okay. You're in a good place.
okay.
Story is
For
weird.
the
I like it.
question, for the final, the storyboard is the final, right?
Yeah.
So
So-
I can just sketch my thumbnails on another scratch sheet, and then I can put it all together in the storyboard.
Yeah. And so remember, everyone, remember that one of the things I'm asking for is for you to study just a little bit of tone.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
So like on this board right here, you would either go back in here and tone out the little jar with just
Oh,
a
yeah.
really light gray.
Oh, that's the
Or the-
fun part. That's the funnest part. I mean,
And then you just to give the characters a little separation from the background.
yeah, no, that's gonna
Do
be,
that last. Just
that's
always
gonna
do
be
that last.
dessert. That's gonna be dessert.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you,
Okay,
Alex.
thank you.
Oh, you're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you.
And I guess my car's not gonna be done today.
Oh, stupid mechanics.
No, 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 they're good people.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
Chloe. Oh my God. So we already talked about this, right?
Yeah, so I
Yeah,
finished
and-
it. And then I spent the entire week trying to shorten it, and I rewrote a different version of it, and I just could not make it shorter. So I was hoping you could help me cut it down because
No. Remember what I told you. You don't have to cut it down. Just finish it later.
yeah.
Don't.
I know. I wanted to have something completed because I feel like
It's-
half of my
so
things are
if you
incomplete.
get through the, let's say that you get like halfway through the middle,
Uh-huh.
and you are, and I'm aware of this.
Mhm.
And your presentation to me and the class is that I bit off more than I can chew. I planned on doing, or I tried to plan on doing 8 weeks of work in 3 weeks, and it's just too much. But I like the story, and so you're just going to present the first half of it, and that's different than just having a cliffhanger,
Okay.
right? So as long as you like this, then go with it.
I liked it. I
Is
just
this different? Is there something different here?
yeah, I actually finished it. I had the beginning written last time, no middle, and like the conclusion.
All right.
So I got a little bit more
let me
detail.
skim through it here.
Okay.
Okay, it's reading good, Chloe. Thumbnails.
Okay.
Just crash through all your thumbnails. Get your map working.
Mhm.
And you have your characters on hand so that you can crash through your thumbnails. And
Okay.
remember, the best way to do it is just without borders.
Mhm.
Just draw them free out in the open, and then figure out how much you can do for your final.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, it's looking good. Go for it, Chloe. Go, go, go. Go, go, go.
Thank you.
Agnes, oh, you're welcome.
So I changed the ending of my story
Okay,
if you want to go through it.
well, I gotta remember to do this or I'll forget. Oh. Okay. The Lane TV shares Kerr got no tax. What does that mean?
Means he didn't knock any pins down, basically. Like he missed them all.
Like he missed them all. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So he walks past them and destroys the front doors.
He's
going crazy.
basically really angry, but takes it out on the doors instead of everybody else. He's kind of
Then they
insane
look at each other. He'll be back. Okay.
because he forgot his cap.
Okay. All right. So did you take my suggestion about wildly different markers, right?
Not quite.
Not quite. Okay.
No, so the bowling alley is only those three inside.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. It's weird. I like it.
And I tried to do these as fast as I could.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
So in panel 7-8, are they getting their bowling shoes?
Oh, they're entering the building.
Okay, and they're talking. Do they get bowling shoes?
Nope.
They just have stick feet.
Yeah, that was part of the simplicity that I was trying to do in the thumbnails.
Okay.
It's probably not a good idea, but
Okay, so this is going to be a hard thing to show in panel 21 about biting the lip. You're going to need a close-up right there.
mm,
And you don't need a zoom, but don't do a jump cut either. So just maybe make the cut from 20 to 21 a little closer so that this action of biting the lip is a little easier to understand.
okay. Yeah,
Alright.
I tried really, really hard not to do any jump cuts.
Yeah, it's one of the worst things you can do in story.
Yeah.
All right, so in this action here, he's taking off his cap, he bowls with it, he bowls a strike, and then here he takes off his cap.
Yeah,
He does a foul right here. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so he throws it overhand and misses them
Yeah.
completely. Okay.
It's a perfect shot if you think about it, except
Right.
it didn't hit anything.
But he misses everything, right?
Yeah.
All right. So once again, I think it's just going to be hard for you to differentiate the
Markers.
characters just by their shape.
Yeah.
And so just work on that. Try to give some sort of detail or another to one or the other. You know, maybe one has vertical stripes, the other has horizontal stripes, just so that they're different and just so that the silhouette is easy to recognize in the boards. And so in your story, in the script, you have this character being enraged as he walks past them and breaks through the front door, right?
Yep.
I think that what you need is to study the expression of rage. I think that you can start here, but I think that you're going to need to just get him like
Yeah, it should make
draw
him
the
more.
head, draw the body, line of action. God damn it. So then, you start here, and then he's like, get the eyebrows to be straight across, but like down. So now it's like, now he's just like, he's fed up, right?
Right.
And the mouth is still kind of horizontal, and then go with that. So study how it's like, how it changes as the eyebrows go from separated to together, halfway through the eyes. And then when you study this, bring those little pupils together and get the mouth to go from horizontal to like angry, and then figure out how angry you want him to be. How pissed off is he going to be, right? And then you have stars coming out of his head and smoke, right?
Mhm.
And that might be a thing, is that on one of the others you have ears, right? So on this character, if he has ears, he could have smoke coming out of his ears, which would be really fun, right?
Right.
The other guy could have a nose. So, this is good angry, right? Good angry. How angry can he be, right? So you think about that V.
Yeah, kind of like an Angry Bird.
Exactly. So I think this is about the extent that you can get the anger. So it goes from nominal, neutral, to like, what the hell, to I am so mad, right? And then the steam can come out of his ears. All right, you want to screen grab that?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. And then he busts through the wall. And then you cut back to say, no, he'll be back because he's swirling his cap. Okay. So just make the break in the wall more dramatic.
Mhm.
Just jump over and do one of those, like, just start with broken wall. It says wallpaper, but I don't want that. I want broken wall. So, these are pretty regular. You're looking for something really dramatic.
Right.
So, oops, I went backwards. So you can see that there's definitely a circular shape in the break. But you could also do that cartoon thing where he breaks himself through the wall and gives himself a cartoon outline.
Oh yeah.
Just like the Kool-Aid guy, right?
Mhm.
And so study that, play around with it, where you're thinking of the wall, and now the marker guy is coming through the wall. And so you start with that kind of shape, and then you break it. So then you've got this radial explosion. And so then add in the broken bits of the brick, right? It doesn't have to fit him perfectly.
Mhm.
And then the dimensions of the brick, the thickness, and even his hands, right? And then show us what's inside here. So start with that. Start with this shape, and then give your blast lines out there, and then give your the dimension, at least on the away side, something like that. All right, you want to grab that too?
Sure.
All right,
Thanks.
got it?
Mhm.
Okay. And it ends with, he'll be back. Okay. This needs to be a closer shot.
Yeah.
57, 57, and 58. You got two 57s.
Oops.
Just stay in a mid shot. a medium close right here.
Mhm.
And you're over the shoulder for this guy. And like I said, in order for everything to read, not only are you going to need ears for one guy and nose for another, but this guy who's the worker, he should be smoking a cigar. You know, just give him a little cigar or something. And,
Yeah.
and then when you remember, you're going to paint all of the characters a light gray to pop them off the background. All right, it's weird. I like it.
Awesome.
Go for it. Do the boards.
Magnus, how long did it take you to do those thumbnails?
uh,
I'm just trying to
Well-
gauge my
let's see. It depends because I had to build things first, like the backgrounds. I build those first, and then I do the thumbnails on top of them,
yeah.
and sort of improvise from there. So maybe including that,
Yeah.
probably 8 hours.
Okay. Okay. So you do this too? You make the backgrounds and you put them in a separate layer.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I do. Okay. Thanks.
That's a lot.
That's helpful.
I was hoping you would say something closer to 4,
Yeah.
but hopefully it'll make the speed of your final boards a little quicker.
Yeah, that's why I do them.
Yeah. Okay.
I-
So
I've learned that if I make my thumbnails good, then doing the storyboards is really much more about art and expression,
right.
and so it's different from doing the thumbnails.
And in my experience, I think the more you do boards, the years that you put on doing boards, that process will be really fast. Learning how to do thumbnails fast, well, that's the one thing that you're going for.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the one thing you're shooting for. Okay. Thank you, Magnus.
Mhm.
Kyle. I don't know how you're going to get the suffering bastard to read in your visuals, but it's fun. I like it. Okay, yep, you got your mood boards. Okay, good. Yes, excellent. That works. All right, thumbnails. Kyle, go for it. Are you here tonight? Kyle, Mr. Kyle? I don't hear him. Okay, everything is looking good. I need to see thumbnails. Let me refresh this, make sure we didn't miss anybody. All right, Riley.
Hey,
All right, did I see this last week?
it is, but I added some thumbnails down below.
Okay. 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 All right, so your character is picking out some clothes, and we might imagine that it's for
like Fenice, like
pop-
Fananica.
so it's a gift.
Yeah,
He's thinking of her wearing it. Okay. So one thing that might work for you visually is that if he starts here and he's holding out this dress. So consider this. So have him be a little bit more flush left Do the line of action. You got the line of action backwards. It should be swing and an S. So get his little body like this. Get this arm over here. You can start in this pose, but get his right arm down and his left arm up so that it can hold the hanger and then we can see the dress, right?
Okay.
And then once he's got it in this position, you can make a little note here that you're going to DX of an image of his niece, right? And so she's just going to be right on top of it. It's like a ghost, right? It's like a spirit. And so she's wearing it here. Might have to make it a little smaller. Or if you like this drawing, then widen out the shot just a little bit so that you can get all of her in there with her tail and everything. But that might be one way to handle this visual, is to get this into position so that she can be wearing the dress instead of just doing it like a thought balloon. All right, you got the screen grab of that? Let me know when you're done. Got it? Okay. All right, so why does he say no in panel 12?
She was trying to look for the perfect gift, and then he thinks about her, and he said like,
So this
Foxy,
helps though. In my version of this, she's just a neutral spirit, and that she's not fully animated here because the way you've drawn it, she likes it.
well,
No.
He's like, he's trying to be like, thanks, Foxy, you know, like trying to be all nice and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, I know, but
it-
that's going to be a hard thing to do without acting and dialogue. So my suggestion would be is to just have her be a neutral silhouette and that he can just say no to himself. Right? And then he can go and look at other things. It might help that if you do a cut between panel 13 of what he's looking at. So this is a handbag. And then panel 14, he looks to his left. And what is this thing?
high heels.
High heels. You know, and so you could do the same visual device if he sees those high heels in a position on screen where she can just appear as a silhouette. And then he can shake his head, say, nah, you know. Then he looks around. And what is this thing that he finds? A video game aisle. All right, so, and how do you end it? How does your
I'm
story
sorry?
end?
I'm not sure how, it's still work in progress. So
So he finds a plushie for her?
yeah, a cat plushie with a tuxedo.
Okay. All right, so when you're taking these to full board size, remember your background, midground, foreground elements. Your perspective, you're following a vanishing point right here, right? You see that? Right where my cursor is?
Yes.
Right? But then the walls are not behaving to it. So my suggestion is that you follow it. You follow your own vanishing point. So draw this line coming away from it. Draw this line coming away from it. And then put the stuff on the wall so that you give them a big aisle to go down. So follow your own vanishing point. Don't do this. This and this are wrong. You set the vanishing point and follow it. Follow your own drawing. Follow your own drawing, or I'll dress like you and I'll follow you around. Is that the creepiest thing you've ever heard? Billy, you gotta come up with a new one-liner, man.
I have no comment.
No, okay, so take it to full boards, get your perspective correct in each one of the shots, because you know, here you've made that drawing and you've copy and pasted it a couple of times and you still have the same perspective error compounded now. So don't compound your error by copying and pasting. Okay. All right, and have his, I don't know what you're gonna do. What I would probably do is finish your thumbnails as quickly as you can. And then have at least part of the final board, how you want it to look for next week. Okay? Okay. Thank you, Riley. All right, let me take a look here. Yay, okay, yeah, clapping hands. All right, so let's take a short break. It's hard for me to talk for an hour. Before I leave,
I actually submitted mine, but it wasn't under the December 1st tab.
that was Randy talking?
Yes.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is we're gonna take a break, but I wanna show you the thing that I was working on this afternoon. What is this? Service is unavailable. All right, I don't know what that was about. I wanted to show you the students at the academy wanted me to find I don't know why this looks like this. Someone to do some Steam animation for one of the games they're working on, and I couldn't get any takers. No one in my effects class would take me up on it, and so I animated this and just cleaned it up this afternoon. I thought I would show it to you. So there's 8 frames where the steam comes on, and then it cycles, and then 8 frames where it goes off. So let me go here. I think it starts on frame 9, and then it ends on frame.
So did you do this in Rough Animator?
No, this is Toon Boom.
And you did it by hand?
Yeah.
Okay. This would be a great little exercise to try. I think I'm gonna do it.
So that's what the cycling steam looks like. And I'm almost done with it. I just wanted to show you because I was working on it this afternoon. Okay, let us take 15 minutes, come back at 8 o'clock.
It doesn't turn off, or it will turn off. The
What's gonna
steam.
turn on? Oh, the steam?
Yeah.
Hey, Billy,
Yes.
I have a question about your Steam animation. Do you like animate the individual bubbles or like is it kind of randomized?
So the first thing I did was I did a layout for the team, and and I have a couple other drawings that are over there. It looks something like this, and because that was just the look I was going for. The trick was that I was thinking of where's my, oh, I had to put this away. I was thinking of what would the shape be like, you know, if I thought about the steam in terms of the shape of water, right, rising, or the idea that the steam itself could be spinning around like this, you know, that might have been a little more difficult to handle. So the first thing I did was I just kind of backed away from that, and I backed away from the idea that it was just going to plume, right? That the idea that well, I've had tons of experience doing effects animation, and I knew that I didn't want either like a big shape like this in the screen itself, and I knew, and the other thing I knew I didn't want was just millions of little bubbles of steam, right? I thought that what I would do is, and the sketch right here is kind of where I started with, was just started by the idea of the steam coming out of a vent. Because that's what's going to be happening in the game, is that there's like a pipe that's broken, and there's like a broken part of it where the steam comes out. So, and I think I might have tinkered with the idea of this kind of shape, but it looked a little bit too much like smoke. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I think I might have added a couple of little bits like holes in it, and I thought that would have been okay, but what I went with is this the idea of the blast coming right out of the hole, and then just a bunch of pockets of air, pockets of clouds actually. So that was just kind of like where oh, you know what? I did that on the wrong layer. Hold on a second. Always got to make sure you're drawing on the right layer. And so the first thing I did was I did the little blast. So in my layout down here, you can see that I have rough and then I have blast. You see the word blast?
Yeah.
So the very first thing I did was just the idea, of that blast coming out. And so if I put my cursor right there, and I think I did it on 2s. So basically what I did is I went like that and I just got that little blast to work. And so that little blast thing, you know, that was easy. I just drew them going up as fast as I could get them to go up and make sure that they were moving and not going backwards. And then on top of the blast, what I did is created a bunch of bubbles that work coming on. And that was the second thing. So those little bubbles right there, let me turn the rough off. So that was the first thing I did, was just get the bubbles to come on. And I told the team that I was just going to give them 8 frames of these bubbles coming on and then starting. So that's the whole intro. That was the whole 8 frames. And then this stuff just cycles. And in this example, it just cycles twice. And the blast is behind it. So you can see I have a variety of very big, medium, and small shapes.
Mm-hmm.
And then as soon as I got that off, and then I gave him 8 frames of the bubbles just going away. And so at speed, it looks like that. And it's kind of hard to see because I have the whole thing coming on. Hold on. This is the whole thing. So you see it coming on and then cycling and then going off.
Mm-hmm.
Then I spent today just cleaning it up. So if I turn off the rough layers, oh yeah, okay. So that's the team will use. They'll just, and you know, my blast is off. So that was just me cleaning it up, and it looks okay. I
Yeah.
might have to go back in there and kind of tweak it, because I think there's a few frames that didn't get cleaned up properly. I don't know. I'll tweak it, but it's really close. I think I spent a total of 3 hours on it. And look,
Very
I got
cool.
there's little faces in there. All kinds of weird stuff that happens in there.
Do
Yeah,
you
so I
like
thought it
draw
was-
every bubble like that's moving, or do some of them burst or like
No, they
appear?
all move. They don't burst.
Mhm.
So from the rough layer, and this might make the most sense. You can see that I turned it on and off right there.
Mhm.
And so what I did is I drew it in pencil, but in Toon Boom, there's a really wonderful tool in the brush setup. So that if I use my brush the settings are over here for different size brushes, but the tool properties is the thing that I put away, but now I don't know where I put it. Hold on a second. I slid it over. Nope, that's not it. Where did I put my tool properties? I slid it somewhere. Probably not going to get it back until I quit Zoom. Oh, so in here, I can bring it back manually, just opening this up. So in the brush settings, there's the kind of brush you're using and then smoothing. And I played with these numbers because I can draw a really wanky shape on the stage. And then Toon Boom will clean it up. Or if I'm trying to draw a perfect circle, it'll clean it up. See that?
Nice.
And so I literally just went, as tried to get it as smooth as I could, trying to avoid that little hook that I was doing right there. And not have it overlap too much. And then I just got into a rhythm, and it took me about an hour and a half to clean it up. Yep, so I just thought I would share that with you.
Yeah, thank you.
No, you're welcome. All right, let's take a look at where we are right now. Let me refresh this. Did anyone submit anything that I missed?
Yeah, me, Randy.
Yeah, and me too.
So yeah, we're on you. Kyle?
Randy.
Right, we haven't got to you, Randy.
Oh, got it.
We're
Okay.
on Philip.
It's still in work in progress, and I didn't do the direction slug, etc. Just the expression, and I fixed the script a little bit.
Okay. I think that what you want to do is try to, you see how your classmates are doing their scripts, where it's okay if you just use one page to get your words down. Because I think that you used 2 text boxes, and in my eyes, it's really hard to read this. I'm guessing that we start, Blythe is on the battlefield.
Yes.
Encounters the Sonic, and we go down to she calmed herself down, and then
Yeah.
we go over here. So just make everything, just use one page for your script
So do you have pair players you can stick
and
Okay.
put everything flush left.
Okay, I tried to do that.
So is this the, what is this drawing right here? Is this the very
The
first,
battlefield, yeah,
is that your first thumbnail?
yeah.
Don't break my thing either.
Classic versus metal, huh?
I just
blades
submitted
Or
that
It's like
just to get
fine.
feedback on it.
Jeez, this
I
one
did
is
it
there.
completely finished.
No, I need like pliers, not cutters.
I don't have anything that small or thin.
Seriously, I got this far and you're not gonna give me anything else, huh? I know you do.
Alright,
You
just-
just don't-
let me
I
get
know you
up.
have like a 500 little
Could
pliers.
you turn your microphone off? Whoever's talking? I don't know who that is. Oh, mute, okay. All right, here we go. All right, so Philip,
Yeah,
so I think it might be just a little confusing because you say that she's on the battlefield.
yeah.
But we make this point about the rules of perspective. And I think I've done this for you before, but let me do it again. That if I pick a horizon that is about 1/3 the way up, and I just pick a vanishing point that goes towards the middle of the screen, and any of these lines here should technically be equally distant away from each other. So by the time they get towards the horizon, they get a little closer to each other. And then these lines that are horizontal near the horizon are very tight together, and then they open up so that each one of these should create a square. Once again, you just have perspective in the sky, which follows the same basic dynamics. And these lines right here get closer together as they reach the horizon. They fan out and get a little further apart as they get up. And then these again are parallel and they spread out. And each one of these should actually be creating a square. So that's a typical grid. And when you're working with a grid, if you draw a character that's standing on the horizon, this character could be 5 miles tall. So the example that I sometimes do is I draw a little raccoon. So here we got a raccoon, or just the outline of a raccoon. And this raccoon is just right in front of it. It's 10 feet away. If I take this same drawing and I put it here, right? So now all of a sudden the raccoon is 30 feet away from us. Now this raccoon could be huge. If I draw telephone poles and I want to make sure that everything is in perspective with the telephone poles going off into infinity, this raccoon here could be 11 or 12 feet tall. If I draw this same raccoon on the horizon, it could be a half a mile tall, just because of the way you've done the dynamics. So the proper way to draw your character is to set your perspective grid correctly and then figure out where you want her to be. Like I said, you pick your focal points. You have divide your stage up into horizontal and vertical thirds, and you want your character to be on the left. Then start with the head and the line of action, and think about how your character is built. And she's on the battlefield, and she's got some sort of weapon. You know, this is a neutral pose, but if she was on the battlefield in an aggressive pose, then you could easily have her running. And so you could say head and line of action, and she was running. But she's on this part of the plane. This is where she's at right now, and she's got her weapon out in front of her. And so this is just the proper way to sketch, is to put your character in the proper position on the screen and in the proper perspective. All right, does that make sense to you, Philip?
So it doesn't have to connect to the vanishing point, the character.
Connect to what?
The vanishing point.
I still didn't hear you. Connect to what?
The vanishing point.
No, the vanishing point is where everything vanishes to. So for instance, even your mountains vanish. So if I use a dark color right here for the mountains, and I let the mountains take up this part of the background, those are the mountains that are nearest to us. They're darker. And then by the rules of atmospheric perspective, some mountains in the background can be even further away. And then you might not even see anything more than that, because the way the perspective is built, now you might see clouds in the sky.
Okay.
You know, something like that. And the clouds behave the same way, so that if the clouds are just having a normal day, this cloud right here going to the vanishing point, if I want to draw a cloud that's halfway to the vanishing point, I can just draw it right here. And then one that's really, really, really far away, it follows the same rules. If I was going to draw this out extended and draw one that was even closer to the camera or behind the camera, then that cloud would be that big. That's just the regular rules of perspective. And so even if you're using your shifts key, you've got your mountains that are way out of action safe and title safe. So remember, we talked about this like on the day one, is that one field in from your screen is where all of your action should stay inside. This is called action safe zone. And then inside of that one field, coming in again, another little field, it's called the title safe area. And so that's title safe, TS, title safe. And the rules are: use your focal points, never ever have a character standing on the edge of the screen. You should never have a character standing on the horizon unless the character is 5 miles tall. And follow the action safe and title safe rules. And that gets you a good way through the initial composition for your setup. So like right here, you've got your mountains that are, I don't know why they are there. You're just holding your shift key and there's nothing aesthetic about it. And it looks, I could just look that you've copy and pasted them into the next story panel.
Yeah, the environment.
And what are these little rectangles for?
Platform to hop on.
So it's like a game or something?
Yeah, it's a game.
Well, you're not using them. So they look indiscriminate. They just kind of look like they are there. If you're doing like a storyboard for Donkey Kong or Super Mario or something, I could see that they could be jumping from platform to platform. And I might understand that, but right now it looks like you've just done like if I just look at this, you've got this character's got a very organic looking head, copy and pasted into the same position, but this little arm is different.
Right.
And then this position, the arm is a little different. So you're relying on the heavy copy and pasting, and it's not giving you good action or good expression. Copying and pasting a correct perspective grid certainly helps. But then you don't want to copy and paste that for every single story panel, because that means that your camera doesn't move.
Good.
And you do want to use cameras that move around. So I can see that you're trying. It looks like your character on the left might have smacked this character and their eyes are really big now.
Yeah, smack it over the head and he falling down.
And you killed that character.
Yeah.
Oh. Hold on a second.
Okay.
Finicky little mouse. All right, so you do have the circles that are alluding to some sort of facial expression change. And then the crosses in the eyes and mouth means that the character's dead. And these platforms keep moving around. So it's reading like you've done some sort of game kind of concept.
Yeah.
And it looks like here you've got the character running one way and then maybe running the other way. Oh, and then all of a sudden there's eyes on the mountain. Why are there eyes on the mountain?
Oh, that is trial and error. It's not supposed to be there.
Oh.
The Toon Boom didn't select it, so I deleted.
All right, so so here your character is walking away, but then all of a sudden they change. And remember that what I'm looking for is panel number, shot number, description of what the action is happening underneath the story panel, the slug, if you can get to it.
Okay.
Every panel should have a background, midground, foreground element. you know, she's just killed that character. And so, and that character disappeared. And so she won, she should be happy.
Okay.
But what happens here? The character comes back to life?
No, that is that is, I haven't gotten to that panel yet. So the rest of the panel down, I haven't gotten to that.
I still don't understand what's happening, because you copy and pasted that character from another panel. So what we are looking at is that he magically comes back to life.
Yeah, now what it look like, yeah.
And then in that same panel, she's got Mickey Mouse ears. So remember when I was critiquing this last week, the week before, you had said that these were supposed to be bullet holes in her head.
Yeah, I
They
need to
do
make
not
it.
look like bullet holes. So you're in artistic trouble, because I mentioned this to you and you haven't fixed it. So I don't understand how this character comes alive. I don't understand how the bullet holes in her head happen to just be there. And now technically it looks like both characters are dead.
Yeah, I need to erase both of those.
So I think that you got a couple of things to work on. First of all, character design. I think that your story is probably working okay. Again, it's just hard to read it in this presentation.
Okay.
Remember that every story panel needs to have a panel number, a shot number, a slug, its screen direction, what's going on underneath it, what are the characters saying to each other, and really relying more on expressive drawing rather than trying to draw with a mouse. It's not helping you.
Okay,
So
I'm
then,
using my my stylus and the tablet, not the mouse, to draw.
I understand, but it looks like you're using your mouth.
Okay.
So having said that, go back and look at the examples, go back and look at all the requirements. I think your script is okay, but I don't think that you're getting the actions and the expressions working as well as you could. In reality, you've got one camera that's not moving around. And the characters are moving around only because you copy and paste them in a different position. And that's not the best way to do storyboards. All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Philip.
I think I got it now.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Philip.
Thank you.
All right, Gio. All right, so Gio, are you here?
Yes, I am.
So I just have a question.
Yeah.
So in your script, you say that he's working, that he makes money working the fields. He collects his money, hopes one day to buy a home. So remember that that's going to be a really hard thing to read visually, you know, unless you do some sort of thought balloon or what have you. Then he comes across a girl named Lucy who's desperately looking for her cat. She helps him look for the cat. Okay. So again, the desperately looking for a cat, we're gonna have to play that really visually.
Okay.
But the thing is that Noah helps Lucy find the cat. Lucy awards Noah with a diamond ring worth millions of dollars. So I think you missed a whole action here of them looking for the cat. Right? You say helps out, but I think you need maybe 4, 5, 6 story panels just when it says helps out. How does he help out? Do they look through the forest? Do they look through the city? Where are they? You know? Okay, so I think this is a good story. You know, it reads pretty well in words. It's just going to be a difficult thing to show visually.
Okay. And I
Right,
have a
so-
few story panels and I have some questions.
Okay,
Um, I'm wondering if I can put a camera inside the tent and show like a little bit of the characters inside the tent.
sure, absolutely.
Because then also he goes to another place and I want to show the inside of that as well.
Well, sure, absolutely.
Okay.
That's why you're
Okay.
doing boards. But remember, now you're
Yep.
going to get in big trouble with your favorite teacher for doing this horrible thing right here.
Okay.
You know, you did the cinematic thirds, but where is the horizon? And where is your perspective grid? So if you get this grid working and you say, hey, I want a tree right here, it doesn't have to be this thick. Give
Mhm.
yourself some branches. You know, do not do this for trees. This is the worst way to draw a tree. Just
Okay.
and remember that for whatever it's worth, that you jump out into a new tab and you just say, okay, I want a maple tree, right? And you figure, look, it's the maple trees have, look at this, the proportion of the thickness of the trunk to how much foliage and branches that you have. You know, that's a typical tree. You know, this maple tree is amazing, right? And then you could do the same thing. You could say, well, maybe I want an oak tree. What does an oak tree look like? You know, their trunks are much wider, but they still has that same kind of proportion, right? See that?
Yeah.
You know, that's a great looking tree right there. And then you come back over and you say, oh yeah, this doesn't look like a tree. It looks like a piece of broccoli or something. So you know, and I mentioned this to the class before, don't do this. And now you're doing it here off into the distance. So you've got to work on that portion of the drawing in perspective. All right, so is this where they're supposed to be looking for the cat?
No,
Oh, they're still
because
working.
he hasn't met the girl yet. That's his brother.
All right, so he's going home here. Your panels need numbers. They
Yeah.
need shot numbers. They need
Yeah,
slugs.
it's because of the question I had before about the because I think I shouldn't start here, but I did start here. So yeah, I'm gonna fix that. I'm gonna put some
Right.
panels in between as well to show
Okay.
more of how much he earns and
Sure. And then all of a sudden they find the cat here, right?
yeah.
So he returns the cat, but yeah, I think your camera's too far away.
Okay.
Again, with the trees, OMFG, Geo. You've got to draw trees correctly.
Okay.
But I think that when you're finding the cat, your camera needs to be closer, engage your character with the cat. So he
Okay.
picks up the cat or he touches the cat, but then he leaves.
Yeah.
So what is this 6 doing here? Number
No,
6.
it's just yeah, it's just a quick sketch of like an apple. That's it.
Why, he's hungry?
Yeah.
All right, but I thought he was going to return the cat.
Yeah, right. But he doesn't know that someone's looking for him. It's just
Oh, all right.
until he meets a girl and he finds that like the girl. I'm gonna show the girl like basically desperately, or like trying to look for the cat.
All right, so I don't know if you need this little
Okay.
thought balloon here. I think your camera needs to be closer so that when he does get to the market, he
Mhm.
sees apples and oranges and bananas or what have you.
Right.
And then you can see the expression on his face. It's like, oh boy, these look great, right? But then he's going to pull his pockets out to reveal that he doesn't have any money, right?
Yeah.
So you have stuff in here in your little thumbnails about him being hungry and going to the market,
Hmm.
but they're not in your script. You see that?
Yeah.
So make the two of them match with each other.
Okay.
Follow your rules of perspective. You know, it's not that hard. You just kind of use the same setup. So here you've got a field, and like I said, a normal neutral camera is about the third. It's about the cinematic third. And so, or let's just say that you did want the horizon to be up about that high. Pick a vanishing point. The vanishing point doesn't always have to be right in the middle of the screen. It can be off to the side if you really want. But if you're going to pick it to be off the side, then all of these lines in the field for the farm, they need to be going to that vanishing point. So those lines of crops need to go this way to the vanishing point.
Yeah. Okay.
And then your character can be down here and draw the foliage of the tree and then the trunk. Remember that little shortcut that I showed you? Draw the foliage first and then the trunk. You know, there can be trees that are smaller and trees that are way off in the distance. Right? You see what I'm doing? They're like,
Yeah.
So those are all contained in the videos that I have posted for our class.
Okay. Yeah. I still just have a difficulty with perspective. So yeah,
Yeah,
this is helping me a lot. Yeah.
remember, each one of your panels needs a background, foreground, midground element, and I'm requiring a bit of tone so that the characters
Yeah.
separated from the story panel. All right, thank you, Gio.
Yep. Thank you.
Randy.
Yep.
All right. Is this the same?
No, it's a totally different script.
Lucy would draw on the sidewalk to fill up the sidewalk. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
All right. I don't think you need the extra words. She would just draw. All right, so she's drawing chalk drawings on the sidewalk, and now after a year, it's filled up. So you're gonna have to use that title card to say a year later, right?
Got it.
And then you're gonna have that strange little story point to contend with that it didn't rain for a year. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you could have her using paint.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll probably just change it to paint. Hold on, baby. I'm still in class.
Okay.
Put it back down. Turn off your iPad if you're not going to use it.
Okay, so she's doing either chalk drawings or painting on the sidewalk for her whole life. And she's turned away all these offers for people to have lunch with her or play with her or whatever. And then the passage of time, now she's 87. She's traded in her everything that she has for a place to rest in the senior home. So in this line right here, you say Lucy pinned her life's work on the wall and just looked. How does that happen? How does she pin her life's work on the wall?
No, they're all paintings. So she's.
I know, but she did them on the sidewalk.
Well,
She have her drawing on the street.
well, I'll probably change that to like when she got older, like all her drawings.
So you can have her
painted
do
on a
like,
canvas.
like on an easel or something, a canvas.
Yeah.
All right, this is going to be a hard thing for you to read in story, to say that the Rico passed away a few years ago. Pull the nurse aside. Look, I've never had a dream in life, because a dream is what you want to do, but still haven't pursued. I knew what I wanted to do, and I did it till I was done. So I lived my dream. All right, so I think your story is okay. There's going to be some elements that are hard to read.
Daddy,
oh, okay.
me younger. Where's Mama? Where's Mommy?
Okay, so make sure you're following your rules of perspective. And it looks like you do have her drawing on some sort of easel. And your thumbnails are starting, but just follow those rules where you need a map. And so
Yeah, that big black page was supposed to be a map. I don't know why it turned black. Yeah, I don't know why it turned black.
All right, but let's just say that you have like an easel right here, and this L is for Lucy, and there's a house over here, right? Or the swing set or something like that, or the swing set is over here, and that your camera's just right here. And so draw what that camera sees. And so set your perspective, get that grid working, get the sidewalk working, get her easel, get the canvas on the easel. This is going to have a different vanishing point. Draw Lucy, right? Get her line of action working. And then the house. It's going to go to the vanishing point. The swing set, it's going to go to the vanishing point. Let those things behave to the vanishing point. Again, with trees, right? Draw a tree really big to dress up. The tree is mostly off camera. This tree is mostly off camera, but you can still see the foliage, right? So this is a better way to set up a shot than just going at it like this. All right?
Yeah.
And your perspective on this is backwards. So if Lucy's here, head, line of action, body, arm, if we can see her painting, then the horizon would be here and the vanishing point would be maybe over here or something. That means that the perspective needs to be like that. See how it's going to the vanishing point?
Yeah.
So then you can put the drawing on the easel. All right, keep going. Knock through your thumbnails as quickly as you can. And then use all the established rules that we've spoken of these past weeks to get us a few board panels so I can look at them.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Randy.
Thank you.
All right, Paula. All right, Paula, is this the same story as last week?
Yeah, it's the same story, just different writing.
Okay. All right, and so you don't have any thumbnails yet?
No, I haven't had the time. I just recently moved and I was, yeah.
All right, so there's a couple of things you want to worry about here, and that is that it's really hard in storyboard to just show how she feels. So that's going to be a challenge for you to just show those changes of expression.
Okay.
But you can do that. That's fine. So she goes to a small school. There aren't many people, and needs. Okay, so that's going to be a hard thing to read. In your thumbnails, you might want to have her standing next to like the sign-up sheet for the basketball team, right?
Okay.
And you see a poster on the wall that says sign-up team for the girls basketball. We need 12 players by Monday, and there's only 4 names, right?
Yeah.
All right, and then make sure she's surprised that there are 8 girls that show up. And then they start playing. They're practicing, right? So this should be their first practice. So you have them going straight from
The game.
well, right. Okay, so I think I misinterpreted this. They're in the middle of the game.
Yes.
There aren't many people. There aren't many fans. There aren't many people watching the game. Is that what you mean here by this line?
No, like they have like a small team because it's a small school.
Okay. But so if you wanted to make that point, then you're going to have to visually show that a basketball team typically has 6 players, 8 players. How many people are on a basketball team?
Well, in the game there's 6, and then like it's better to have like more than 6. So for to switch.
So the other team would have 6, but her team only has 4. You know what I mean?
Wait,
That's how you
I've been a
represent
game.
it.
Wait,
That's how you can represent it, that it's a small school.
true.
All right, but then you get to the story point where the score is tied. There's 30 seconds left. So I think all this other stuff here becomes like either trivial points or just minimal points, because what you're trying to do is that you're trying to show that there's lots of challenges for this team to either play or win, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what you're trying to say is that with all these challenges, they've tied the game, right? And so they're either really good with their small team, or that this team that they're playing is terrible. You know? So you got to keep all those things in mind. They steal the ball. Someone is at the hoop, passes to Claudia. Oh, she shoots, it goes in. She made a 3-point. They'd won the game. Okay, so this is the main part of your story. So remember that that's going to be the most important part. This stuff up here is really great for exposition and setting the stage, but so pay attention to this as the action and the ending and the winning. But if you want to show all this other stuff, which is important, make sure that you show it visually, that it's a small team. We don't have enough players, but they've got a lot of heart. And so try to get through all your thumbnails as fast as you can so that you have one more week to do your boards.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Paola.
Thank you.
Sorry, I haven't been clapping tonight, sorry. And Tristan,
Yes. I reworked the script a bit and also did some character redesigns as you suggested.
okay. Hold on one second. I want to do something here so that I don't forget. All right, is this the same as last week?
It's the same, but I added the new ending where Lola goes to Earth. And I also added a bit more to the daydreaming action.
All right, I appreciate the highlighting the verbs. It helps, right?
Yes.
It helps you too, I can just imagine. All right, good. All right. Tristan?
Yes.
This is Earth.
Yes.
What is this?
That's an asteroid.
All right, so even though it sounds weird, there is perspective out in space. So if this is your composition, then what I would suggest is giving yourself a relative place where there's a sun, the center of the galaxy, right?
Right.
You see what I'm doing?
Yeah, I see.
So I've created this arena here. And from this, you've got technically a horizon. And you've got your vanishing points on the ground and up in the upper atmosphere. And once you've established this, and this is kind of like your grounding zone right here, then make the Earth bigger. And so that you can see that there's continents on there. We know that it's like Earth, right?
Right.
So you can get a little bit more detail on it. And then put the moon. As long as you've got the Earth, the moon is going to be there. And then Mercury, Venus, right?
Right.
I think we're a little too close to show Saturn, which would be out here somewhere.
Correct.
But this asteroid is way too big. Right. And so make it look more floaty. You know, just put it like this. And so having done that, then you can put your details on it. And are there supposed to be 3 asteroids here?
Multiple asteroids.
All right. Once you've done that, you've established that this is your light source, then you can very easily go in here and just create shadows to let everyone know you're in outer space. So look at this. This is the part that's going to be in shadow.
Right.
All right. So I think that setup helps you. And then you can put your other planets and stars in there and what have you. But you technically literally need a grid, even if you're out in outer space.
All right. That's actually really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. And then continue. Draw your thumbnails as fast as you can.
Yes.
All right. All right. Does anyone upload anything while we were talking? Okay, so I wanted to do a couple of things to get you into next week. And let me see if I can just pull this up. So what I want is well, we talked about this a little bit last week, but it's an interesting thing to talk about. So, and I have this set of images. Let me just change that to a regular search. So what I wanted you all to think about was just the notion of having a story within a story. Here we are. Technically, this would be storyboard 1. and the Kenyatta College does not have intermediate storyboarding and then an advanced storyboarding class. So we kind of have to do everything all at once. And so just because it's something to think about this, having a story within a story. We're not going to be able to approach this, but the idea would be is that once you kind of venture out beyond our class here, having a story within a story is technically a little vignette. Remember, we talked about the idea of vignette last week or the week before, but it always really helps with the narrative. And so you can have different characters from your main characters. You can have the main character telling something that happened to them that was either in a different place or different time. Neil Gaiman does this all the time in every story that he tells. Roald Dahl does this in stories that he tells all the time. Theodore Geisel, Dr. Seuss did not use a story within a story too much. I think he might have used a couple of elements of it in Horton Hears a Who. That story was a little bit developed, but it's something to just think about. I want you to think about the idea of a story within a story. All right, so having said that, in storyboarding, and let me make sure that I thought I pinned something for this. So this is something different, but so I wanted to, this is what I'm going to mention right now is the Kozloff effect, is that if we have Alfred Hitchcock just starting here with this grimaced look on his face, and we see that he's looking at a mom holding her little child, and then we have the next shot of Alfred smiling, then it appears to be sweet. So in cinema, we think about things like this all the time, where we start with the action of him just in a neutral observation, seeing a pretty girl, and then having the exact same expression on his face gives the audience a different characterization of who he is. And even though you might, as a storyboard artist, have a definitive inner voice of what you want your character to be thinking, you have to think about the sequence of your imaging to make sure that it's working, because of just this effect like this. All right, I don't think we talked about Zolly, and we could talk about this just for a moment. A Zolly is a zoom and a dolly put together. It is a very, very intense shot. Have we talked about this before? The classic is in Jaws, where the camera zooms in on our main character, but it's also a dolly. And so the background just goes away. It's a really, really intense shot. Let me see if I can find the version of this. And I'm going to stop recording. All right, once again, it's just a reminder for everyone to somehow put your characters together in one PDF with a proper name on it, and on all your stories together with one doc or one PDF, and put it in this folder so I can give you credit for it. But the thing that I wanted to show you is a frame within a frame. And so this is a really great effect. Some of you could definitely use this technique for your final here. We have to get to the image in my board of Dustin Hoffman in The Graduate. I hope I'm in the right place. I think I'm in the right place. Okay, so this was one of the first things I put down here. Remember, everyone, that the rules of perspective written by the Italians in the Renaissance is over 5,000 pages long. And when you see like a little set of images like this, and just, you know, good ways to draw perspective, that's just boiling those books down to just a few little shortcuts. All these other things are based on those manuals, which again, I think there's 5,000 pages of them. We're only ever talking about the top 5% of them. All right, so so here's the Kuzlov effect again. What I'm looking for is the graduate. I don't know why this is being so tediously slow. Look at that tree, everybody. There is no excuse for just drawing a piece of broccoli. Trees are awesome. Draw awesome trees. Don't draw broccoli. You'll make Billy mad. All right, we're getting towards the bottom. I can feel it here. All right, so this is a really good example right here of what I'm looking for tone. Just a series of grays. White and gray, white, gray, a little dark gray. This is a really good example of how to separate your characters from the background. All right, let's see if we can find this. Might have helped if I had this queued up. Expressions, leading the eye, having elements within your background pointing to your focal point. It's a good cheat. Guess I could have searched for it, right? There's lots of good stuff on this board, everybody. All right, I'm gonna give it 10 more seconds and I'm gonna search for it. All right, let me search for it. Right, it's a famous shot. It's the one key that comes after this. I'm kind of surprised that it doesn't just show up. Let me go out onto the actual Google search, the graduate. Here we go. So framing within a shot is a really interesting way to lead the audience's eye. So you can kind of see that the cinematographer leading up to this was like, oh, look, we got Dustin Hoffman standing here. We know that there's a character that's either right by the camera or close to the camera, and that we see a leg. It's like, but when we see this frame right here, this puts the character in a completely different frame. It gives us intimacy with the character that is really on top of the camera now, and gives a frame within a frame. We've done this a shot within a shot. You can see that there are a couple other examples that are coming up that just are similar to it, but it's something to think about. If you can work, and here's a little cartoon of it even, that is making fun of it. So I just wanted to put it out there that using a frame within a frame. So let's go back to the storyboard, see if we can pick up one that's on the storyboard. And it might be a little obscure because it's coming up with a bunch of comic book oriented shots. The very typical one is a window within a window. All right, so here they're just kind of using the low hanging fruit, if you will, because in Hitchcock's The Rear Window, the whole movie was based on a frame within a frame. And this is just either a real board from it or a comic version of it. But you can kind of get the point just by looking at it, that you can see that each one of these apartments that our lead character can see is its own frame. It's its own story going on back there. So I'm just alerting you and making you aware of that element. You know, this is a typical way to do it, where we have the point of view of someone looking at a frame within a frame and then cutting to what would be a telescope or binocular view of it. Just think about it. If you can work it into your story, it shows a little bit of finesse. Let's go back to our main board here and see if that's the shot right there that I pinned on my storyboard board all those years ago. But let me see if there's anything else that I can give you before I send you out into your Wednesday night. For some reason, my internet connection is working very slowly. Oh,
I have a question.
Sure.
So I was looking at, so it seems that in order to turn a thumbnail or storyboard into an animatic, you need way more thumbnails than we've been doing.
That's generally true.
How many, I mean, you're obviously not doing 12 frames, even 12 frames per second.
No.
And you use them, I believe you hold the image for the shot.
Right.
But what's a guide? Is there like a rule of thumb of how many per minute or something like that?
No, not really, because if you, let's say that your establishing shot is that you're on an alien world and that you have a 10-second shot of the camera that is positioned on a spacecraft that is approaching the planet, that you only might need one drawing for that. And in the animatic, you can just zoom in on it a little bit. And so here you've got an example where one drawing comprises 10 seconds of either the animatic or the animatic and the final film. And that increases as you get towards the crisis of your story. You may need 2 or 3 drawings per second to show that kind of action. And so all the animatic is doing is really giving you a feel for the duration of the film, whether the shot sequencing is working correct or not. And remember last week, I cautioned myself about using the word sequence, because in film and animation, that's a real thing. You know, that's the dance sequence, but it also pertains to the order of the shot. So it's not too confusing. Just as long as you remember that sequences are longer parts of the story, scenes are all within one room, and shots are cuts within that room. So, and this is what I wanted to show you. I just found this this past week where, and I don't know about this, I had just kind of stumbled upon this, where if a movie introduces the good guy from the left side of the screen, moving to the right side of the screen, and reverse for the bad guy coming from the right to the left. I'll have to do some digging. It's just something that I saw and I thought I would put it out there. Progressing from left to right is natural with the way we write, the way we read. I'll have to do some digging. It's on the board. It's something for you to think about. What else did I pin? I thought this was interesting, just the using one setup, one perspective shot of a door and a wall, exterior of a house, and how you can get all kinds of different scenarios going, all kinds of seeming backstories coming out of it. I thought that was interesting. And I think that this might have been up there from last week. Just started the idea of referencing tone for you all and what the silhouette of a character might look like against a lighter background, or how it looks like if the character is dark against a dark background. Because I think that element of playing with just the grays it definitely has to be part of your final board. Remember, I'm not requiring an animatic. I showed you how to do it. If you're working in Rough Animator, it's really easy. You just hit play and your animatic is done, but not everyone has Rough Animator. Blame it on the pandemic. But this is a really good example of what the tone and storyboard looks like. This is also explaining continuity, right?
The New York, this just reminds me of the New Yorker in their comics. They are all colored using just gray tone.
Yeah, it's pretty common, and gray tone is new for them because it used to just be a dot matrix. They used to put a matrix over it. So yeah, it's excellent reference example. They're always just shades of gray, black on white gray, and it really helps the dynamics and the performance of your drawing, your board, your story. All right, let me check my notes and make sure I haven't forgot anything. Oh, I wanted to ask the class, and this was something that was just bugging me, that when I can't think, who's the author who wrote Game of Thrones?
George R. Martin.
George Martin, right? Did anyone actually read the books? So would the ending of the last book, like typical of a Martin ending, was, he had all these great characters, he had great storylines. I think there were a total of 5 books.
Yeah, well, the books aren't finished, though. You know that he got the contract for the TV series, and then the contract for the TV series was twofold. One is he had to actually finish the story. Second, he could not publish the books before the TV series had aired. What happened in reality is he finished the TV series, and he still has not finished the books.
Oh, I see. So he actually
I think
relinquished.
it's a clear case of motivation crash after you
Right.
finish the story. So
Well, that just makes me never.
but yes, he definitely kills off characters however he pleases.
Well, we know that was one of his
He just does that.
his trademark devices. But the popularity of his books was really high, and the first few seasons on HBO were just amazing. I think I saw a bunch of it, and then I saw all this stuff happening online where the ending was just the worst ending ever in cinema, and it made me not want to watch it at all. So the reminding point for me was that whatever I'm watching, if it's a short film, very, very short, 2 minutes, 4 minutes, 10 minutes, or if it's a feature film, or if it's a TV series like The Queen's Gambit had like the most awesome ending ever. And I think I mentioned this to you before, that WandaVision just pissed me off.
So what part, where do you call it the ending in Game of Thrones? Which scene is to you the ending?
For WandaVision?
No, for Game of Thrones.
Oh, I didn't watch it. I watched like the first little block, and then I heard all this horrible stuff, so I stopped watching it.
Oh, well, then you're not allowed to gripe about it if you haven't actually seen it.
Did you watch the whole thing?
Well, yeah, and the story, so from, I'm not talking about this, the script, okay, but the story is very much ending in the way he's been telegraphing way from the beginning. So the way the story ends is a logical consequence of things that happened before.
So why do all these people on social media hate it?
Because they don't know how to write stories.
Well, maybe I'll.
Because they don't like that an author follows actually through, instead of do the American thing where everybody always has the Disney thing, basically.
Right. Well, maybe I'll give it another try.
I don't know. Now, from a cinema and scripting point of view, there's a lot to critique on all of that, and how it was presented and done. But that's, to me, that is a whole different topic than the story.
Right. Well, having said that, maybe I'll.
No, you should watch it, and then you can really gripe about it, because there's a lot to gripe about.
Well, no, I wasn't griping. I was just saying that it's on the notion that endings are really, really important. It's just, you know, when you come away from me as your storyboard teacher, it's like endings. And, you know, I think one of you is trying to pull the cliffhanger on me, and I'm like, I'm gonna find out where you live. Right now I'm in the middle of watching Westworld. And I'm just very intrigued. It's a interesting setup, so I'm not gonna go into it.
Which season are you in?
Still season 1.
Oh, okay. Season 2. I think only season 1's worth watching.
It is worth watching?
Only season 1's worth watching.
Oh, really?
I couldn't it takes the writing or I guess it takes the quality of the show, in my opinion, takes a big dip after season 1. Like season 1 was like perfect, and then I couldn't even finish season 2. Like it was so much worse in comparison.
Well, I will definitely have an opinion once I get into it. I had started watching The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel on HBO, and I'm completely hooked. And right now they're starting season 4, but it was a very weird ending for season 3. They just ended it at this very strange place. I'm like, wait, what? How could you end it there? I mean, I understand if people binge watch stuff and that's like, oh my God, I have to watch the next episode, but they haven't produced it yet. And the same thing goes with Peaky Blinders. Had anyone watching the Peaky Blinders on Netflix? There was this crazy ending for season 4 or whatever it was. And it was like all these things, all these storylines converged, and everything was working out really, really badly. And then they ended on this one shot where Cillian Murphy's just like, no. And I'm very intrigued as to what they're going to do with it, because his sister in the story was played by Helen McRory, and she's just a great actress. Died last year of like some horrible pancreatic thing, and they had to figure out what to do with the rest of the story. So I thought I would just put that out there, is that when I'm looking at short films, medium, long films, I'm always really, really big on the endings. But it's different when you're watching episodic TVs, series that just never seem to end. You know, there has to be a good ending for each one of the seasons, at least, to keep you engaged. Episodes that shows that never end are interesting because they're in danger of jumping the shark. Has anyone ever heard of jumping the shark? So in the late 60s and early 70s, there was a TV show called Happy Days. And it was Ron Howard and Henry Winkler were the main characters. they were young. It was kind of a Happy Days, a spin on American Graffiti about how awesome life was in America during the 1950s. And there are all kinds of really great characters and plots and stuff. And it was definitely the top of the heap during its run. And it ran for like 13 years or something. And they kind of ran out of story ideas. They featured one character and then another, and Jeff Bosley, and then the character about the mom, and this other character, and they actually ran out of characters. And the writers were sitting around and like, well, how are we going to end this season? And they said that, and this is historical cinema, by the way, is that the writers were saying, well, normally what happens is that the season would start in September, kind of when kids are going back to school, and they would play 4 or 5 episodes. And then by the time Thanksgiving would come around, they would go back into reruns. And if a TV series was brand new, they would even replay the first couple of episodes because they knew that viewership from the Nielsen ratings would go down around the holidays. And so they would just replay. They would rerun. And then certainly right after, or maybe a couple weeks before Christmas, they would show a new episode. And then by the time January rolled around, kids were back in school, they would show the rest of the season, which came in either 13 or 26 blocks, depending on whether episodes were a half hour or an hour. And so the writers got together and they said, well, typically the end of a season ended when the kids were out of school in the end of spring or early summer. And it was right around that time when families would typically go on vacation. Oh, let's just write the episode so that the whole crew from Happy Days goes on vacation. And they said, oh, that's a great idea. And they started writing. But Henry Winkler's character was the guy who always wore the leather jacket and the t-shirt and the jeans, and he always rode a motorcycle, and he could just hit on the jukebox to turn the jukebox on, and he always had 4 girlfriends. He was a cool guy. Hey, he went to comb his hair. And he didn't need to comb his hair because his hair was always perfect. He was like one of those characters. And so they said, well, because we're going into summer, let's have the crew go camping. And they said, okay, so they started writing some ideas down, and they thought, well, for one thing, Henry Winkler's character was named Fonzie. Hey, he would never go camping. Like in a million years, it was completely out of character for him. And they argued about it back and forth and back and forth. And finally, they just said, well, he would ride his motorcycle up there and he would park it, but he wouldn't participate in any of the swimming because that would mess up his hair. And they went back and forth and they were arguing. The writers were arguing. The producers got in on it and said, fine, he's gonna do something really wild, like he's gonna water ski, because that's what Fonzie would do. He's cool enough to water ski. Well, what about messing up his hair? Oh, well, we'll do a long shot. And even though his hair is going to be wiggling around in the wind, the stunt double, who will look just like the Fonz, it'll be cool. And they did some test shots and nobody liked it. They just said, this isn't cool enough. And they said, well, what if we have him do a jump while he's water skiing? And then they said, oh, well, yeah, that's kind of dangerous. And they said, well, I don't think that it's dangerous enough. Even if he lands and he's cool and his hair doesn't get messed up for doing a jump while he's water skiing, it's not cool enough. And the writers knew Fonzie's character well enough that he shouldn't have even been there. The character would never, ever even go camping. It was completely out of character for him. And so they argued and back and forth again. They finally settled on the idea of him not only jumping, but jumping over a pool of sharks on the lake. And everyone's like, oh, this is the stupidest idea ever. But they filmed it. And so if you go on YouTube and you just watch Jumping the Shark, you can see that Fonzie's there and he's got his, I don't know, I don't think he has his vest on it. I think he has his leather jacket. And he's water skiing and he jumps over the sharks and he lands and everyone's like, oh my God, this was the stupidest thing ever. And all the viewers thought it was the stupidest thing ever. And it was the thing that just ended the show. No, the writers were running out of ideas and they had jumped the shark. So whenever you hear jumping the shark, that's a real thing. Now from Happy Days, Laverne and Shirley spun off of it, and Joni Loves Chachi spun off of it. There were like 5 TV episodes that spun directly off that show. And so it did have its weight in Hollywood, but jumping the shark is a real thing.
Wow.
So watch that video. I'm going to leave that to you to find that on your own. For YouTube.
On YouTube?
Just find it on YouTube. I see that Vivian said that she's just submitted her assignment. All right, Vivian. All right, this looks like the same from last week, right?
Yeah, I did not change the script. I just added I have 6 panels now. I had 1 last week.
Okay. Okay. All right, your establishing shot looks okay. Remember that these tilted Dutch angles cause tension, right?
He's excited. He saw his son coming back. That's I started with the ending. I haven't done the
Oh,
panels.
this is the ending part?
Yeah.
Okay,
So he's
just
excited.
remember that. Remember, when you do the Dutch angle, it causes tension. Okay. Even in this panel here, there's tension because you tilted the camera. Okay. All right, you're on the right track. Keep going. You got a lot to do for your 12 or 14 story points here, 16 story points. So draw fast.
Yeah.
Go for it. Draw fast.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. All right. So like I said, everyone, we meet again next week. And that's the last time we do a Zoom where I can give you feedback on this final story. Remember to, at some point, gather up all your characters and all your scripts and put them in those 2 folders so I can give you proper points. And I will see you all next week.
All right.
So 1 PDF.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good night, Billy.
Okay, good night. What did you want, Philip?
So 1 PDF with the script.
That would be, yeah, that's ideal.
Okay.
Put your scripts all together and all your characters together so I can give you the proper points.
Okay. Thank you.
All right,
Bye.
I'll see you next week.